Peter Begalla from Family Business Magazine. I'm joined today by Bobby Stover from EY. He's a partner in America's Family Office Leader. And today we're talking about family offices. Now, family business owners often become a little more complex. They start adding assets, maybe real estate, other investments, and that complexity leads to a lot of work. And so a family office structure is something many family businesses are starting to consider. So to get us started, first, what's a family office, Bobby?
Yeah, Peter, thanks for allowing me to be here. And we get that question a lot. And we hear the comment, if you've seen one family office, you've seen one family office, where I'm sure our audience appreciates that. Not very helpful. Our view of a family office is it's a group of people that sit at the center of a owner, their family, and their businesses or their investments. And they help them with vision and legacy, leadership, ownership, and wealth transition. So it's more about sitting at the center and helping with these complex things than tax or legal structure.
So it's one central hub for a lot of different activities. Well, what are some of those activities?
You know, the activities generally start out in a founder's office. So you're doing your day job, and then your assistant or your CFO, you start to do new investments. You have more complex tax structures that your attorneys and accountants set up, and they need to manage those and make sure that they're being taken care of. And then, of course, everybody wants to diversify, so you start doing new investments, and you've got to manage a real estate portfolio, or you've got to have a guy manage your Merrill Lynch guy because he's calling you all the time to do things. So I'd say it starts with kind of family stuff, and then it moves into investments, and then there's all the tax and legal and home stuff that needs to be taken care of.
Sounds actually pretty expensive.
It can be expensive, yeah. I think people ask that all the time. What does it take and what does it cost? Well, first I'd say to have your own single family office, you're probably somewhere between $500 million and $1 billion. Mm-hmm. And the cost to run an office is anywhere between $1 and $5 million to do that. Complexity is, who am I having to hire? Who's in the office? Am I hiring investment professionals or, staff accountants? And that where the cost continuum changes.
Right. In a single family office versus a multi-family office, how do you make that kind of comparison and judgment as to which one's the right fit?
Yeah, so there's single family office, multifamily, and virtual family. What multifamily offices do are the investment banks, boutiques. They're going to provide some of that function by grouping people at a reduced cost. So if I'm not big enough to fund all the costs myself, maybe I only need a piece of it. Maybe I only need the investment piece. Maybe I only need the concierge bill pay piece. So I can go buy that from somebody else at a more reasonable cost instead of building my own infrastructure.
I got you. And so if you're considering this expense and this time to set it up, there must be some really strong, compelling reasons. In other words, the why. Why do families do this?
Yeah, I think number one, and you see it in the news today, is privacy. I think there's several surveys out there that, the average family has between 25 and 30 vendors. Mm-hmm. Do you really know who those people are? Can you really trust them? Who's vetting them? And so that protection to bring it in-house and really know where that is. I also think it's when there's something that's taking away from the business. So if we can't grow the business because all this other stuff becomes noise or is taking away from my CFO or my COO or whoever my strategy guys are to do this, well, I need people to run that and I need people to run this.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a bifurcation from operations to activities of the family.
Exactly.
Okay, good. And then allocation of cost. I mean, if it's multiple families, multiple households that are utilizing this, how do you kind of come up with a cost structure that's fair?
Yeah, well, again, you've seen one, but there are some similarities. So I would say generally at the G1 level, G1 gets everything. Mm-hmm. And what we think is important at G2 and G3 is to really create a service map. So I'm going to answer your question a little backwards. Okay. We need to know what services are we required to perform and are we going to perform for family members. At G1, it's everything and anything. Right. G2, it might be some of everything, but not anything. Mm-hmm. And by the time it gets to G3 and 4, we're kind of not sure. So service map first. Then what we see as the most common structure is probably assets under management. So what is your allocation of the assets that are in the structure? And so we'll charge you a fee for that. And then we see a la carte. So if we know what the services are, here's the core services everybody gets. Right. If you want more, they're here, but you're going to pay for them yourselves. And then there's a number of mechanisms in how that's funded and how people pay for those.
So the central theme is that it's centralized.
Correct.
Right? And then from that, a menu of services, as you call it, is available for families to pick and choose from.
Correct.
Okay. So family offices help cut down on some of the complexity and create some centralization of managing all the different households, all the different tax returns and investments of the family. So thanks, Bobby.